friends and students. Myself Dr. Ravikant Pathak, and I am going to start your classes. In the last video, I have discussed about the epithelial tissue, and in this video lecture, we will discuss about the rest part of the epithelial tissue. And I think you know, I think you are enjoying the biology class. Myself, Dr. Ravikant Pathak. And yesterday I have discussed epithelial tissue, so some part remain I forgot to tell. So today I will start that remaining part of the epithelial tissue. And in the remaining part, what they have given, you can see here, that is the junction, specialized junction. So we will discuss today about the detail of this junction. And this is a new part they have inserted in NCERT, so you should to learn. And sometimes students got confused, it belongs from this which portion of the tissue. So you should to know this generally belongs from the epithelial tissue. So this specialized junction, it belongs from the epithelial tissue. So we are going to start. First of all, listen what I've given. So in nearly all animals tissue, specialized junctions provide both structural and functional link between individual cells. What means of this statement? What is explaining? So you can see here. This is the one cells and this is the another cells. Okay, and these cells are linked. These cells are linked structurally and functionally. What means of the structurally and functionally? Structurally means via the structure. So suppose that here this substance is present in between them. Substances present in between them, and they are linked. Structurally means they are linked with this, and functionally means they also form the some specific channel or some specific bridge-like structure by which molecules or ions they can cross. So here it's saying both structurally and functionally links between individual cells. So these cells via the structure means they have some specific structure like a connexon and connexin, we will discuss later. So these are structurally and functionally these individual cells, they are linked with this, and this structure is known as the specialized junction. And where it found? It is found in the epithelial tissue. So maybe in your NEET exam they will ask, this specialized junction or tight junction, any type of the junction, it belongs from which type of the tissue. So then you should to know, you should to learn it. It belongs from the epithelial tissue. And now we are going to discuss, that is the one by one, about the different types of the junction. So first it have given the tight junction. First what I have given? It have given the tight junction. Tight junction, why we are saying tight junction? Because it helps to prevent the substances from leaking across a tissue. It means what you will say, it prevents two substances. What you will say, it prevents two substances from leaking across a tissue. It means if two cells are linked with each other, so any substance cannot leak or cannot pass with each other. Clear? Any substance cannot pass with each other. Okay, so here you can see, and this tight junction also known as the anchoring junction. So this tight junction also known as the anchoring junction. So suppose that this cells and these cells, they are tightly packed, they are tightly attached with the such type of the junction. This is known as the tight junction. The basic function of the tight junction, that is the anchoring. Okay, so second types of the junction, that is the adhering junction. What means of the adhering junction? You know, in case of the adhering junction, so in adhering junction, one cells they are attached with the adherent cell. And one thing I forgot to tell here, you can say in anchoring junction, so there is the number of protein found, which you can say claudins, occludins. So these proteins also found. Okay, and if you see here adhering junction, so adhering means one cell adhere with the another cells. One cells adhere with the another cell. So that is called adhering junction. And this adhering property, it is found in the normal cell. You know very well in case of the cancerous cells. So cancer is the two different types, benign and malign. And malign cancerous cells, they show one property which is known as the metastasis. Okay, and during the metastasis, so these type of the cells, they lost this adhering phenomenon. They lost their adhering phenomenon, and these cells, they behave such a freely. They can move any body parts from another body parts. It can move from any body parts to the another body parts. Okay, why? Because they lost their adhering ability, they lost their adhesion ability, and it behaves such a freely, it can be moved from one body parts to another body parts, and this phenomenon is known as the metastasis. So in case of the metastasis, they lost their adhering property. So the function of adhering junction to adhere the cell, the group of cells or tissue, the tissue in the group of cells, that is they are attached with each other. Okay, function performing cementing to keep neighboring cells together, means their neighboring cells, means in the cells, in the group of the cells, means in the tissue, they are attached with each other, and this function performed by the substance, this is known as the adhering junction perform these substances. Next you can say that is the gap junction. Third type is the gap junction, and gap junction you know very well where found. It is found in the neuron cells. That gap junction also known as the communication junction. This is also known as the communication junction. So here you can see this is the found in the communication between two neurons. Okay, and these gap junction, if you see, so these gap junction involves in the passage of any molecules, small molecules, ion, they can directly pass from one neuron cells to another neuron cells. So it means if we read this sentence, what is explaining? Facilitate to communicate with each other by connecting the cytoplasm, means one neuron cells they are directly attached, with the another neuron cells. So here you can see like this structure. Suppose that this is the neuron cell. So here these substances they can directly pass like this. So they can directly pass. Okay. So this junction is known as the gap junction, and gap junction made up of the connexin or connexon protein. So it is made up of the connexin or connexon protein. And similar to gap junction in plants, they also have a similar to gap junction like structure, which is known as the plasmodesmata. And these plasmodesmata, which is the directly connect the one cell to another cell. So one cell to another cell, they are directly connected with each other. Okay, so this topic I forgot to tell you in about epithelial tissue. So here I have explained, and I think you are also understanding, and this is the very important according to epithelial tissue. Okay, so next topic, that is the second types of the connective tissue. Here you can see second types of that is the second connective tissue, second tissue, and this second tissue is known as the connective tissue. So second tissue is known as the connective tissue. Okay, so here this connective tissue are most abundant and widely distributed in the body complex animal. You know very well, this connective tissue is the mesodermal in origin. This connective tissue is the mesodermal in origin and most abundant. Why are most abundant? Because you know very well, most abundant protein in our body, collagen. Most abundant protein in our body is collagen. And in case of the connective tissue, so there is the ground substance found, which is known as the collagen or elastin. So collagen or elastin, so this is also found. Okay, so due to this, connective tissue are considered as a most abundant and widely distributed in our body. It means we are considered as a complex animal. So we are considered as a complex animal. Clear? So in our body, it is the most abundant and widely distributed substance. Okay. And next is the connective tissue because of their special function linking and supporting. So these connective tissue also considered as supportive tissue. Why we are saying supportive tissue? Because the basic function involves to linking and supporting to other organs of the body. So due to this, it is considered as a supportive tissue. Next, the range from connective tissue specialized types, which include cartilage, bones, and adipose and blood. It means what is explaining this sentence? Explaining they have some three different types of the connective tissues. The three different types. One is the proper connective tissue, another is the supportive connective tissue, and third one is the fluid connective tissue. If you'll see, so proper connective tissue, they include adipose and areolar tissue. They includes the adipose as well as areolar tissue. In case of the supportive connective tissue, they include both cartilage as well as bone. So cartilage as well as bone. So they include the that is supportive connective tissue or skeletal connective tissue. Why we are saying skeletal? Because cartilage and bones, they form the endoskeleton. And next is the fluid connective tissue, that is the blood or lymph. They are considered as a fluid connective tissue. So they range, if you see, is from soft to hard. From soft, because bone is the hard, and here that means adipose as well as areolar. So this is the soft connective tissue. Clear? So this thing explaining. And one is the very interesting and important feature of the connective tissue, that is every connective tissue, they secretes the fiber. Every connective tissue, they secretes the fiber, and fibers of the structural protein. This is called the collagen or elastin. This is called the collagen or elastin. Okay, except blood cell, and they have already asked. They may be in your NEET maybe question. They become. It can become. What is the feature of, means why we are saying blood fluid connective tissue? Why we are saying blood fluid connective tissue? Because every connective tissue, they secretes the matrix, they secrete such type of the fibers, and due to this they are strongly attached with each other. But in case of the blood cells, no secretion of such fiber structural protein. No secretion of the fiber structural protein. So due to this, blood cells, they behave such a fluid connective tissue. Okay, and here you can say what is the collagen and what is the elastin. So here collagen, if you see the difference between collagen and elastin, you know very well collagen. So collagen is the white in color. And elastin fiber is the yellow in color. Collagen is white color and elastin fiber is the yellow color. Second difference, so collagen provides the tensile strength, means it's very strong, very supportive. So it provides the tensile strength, rigidity, and elastic fiber, it provides the flexibility, elasticity. Okay, so these are the difference between collagen and elastin. Next point you can see here, these cells also secrete modified polysaccharide. This cell also secretes the modified polysaccharide. What means of the modified polysaccharide? It means you can say they have the protein, and these proteins they have the modified polysaccharide, means they have the some components polysaccharide where is the modification takes place. This is called the modified polysaccharide, and which accumulate between cells. Suppose that these cells, and here these two cells found. Okay, and in between there is the secretion. So in between there is the little bit secretion can found. Okay, and this secretion is the modified polysaccharide. This secretion is considered as a modified polysaccharide, and this substance is known as the matrix. This substance is known as the matrix. So this substance is known as the matrix or ground substances. So matrix or ground substances. It means, so connective tissue cells, they secretes the modified polysaccharides and accumulate in between two cells, and they behave, and this polysaccharide is known as the ground substance or matrix. This is known as the ground substance or matrix. Okay. So next you can see the diagram, flow chart, by which we are explaining about the difference between connective tissue, explaining about the types of connective tissue. And I had already told, so connective tissue generally found how many types? It is found in the 3 different types. So here you can see one by one. So first they have given the connective tissue proper, I had already told, and here you will see the matrix, that is the modified polysaccharide which is found in between two cells. So this matrix is the soft and less rigid. This matrix is the soft and less rigid. Clear? In case of the supportive connective tissue, so matrix is the solid and semi-solid or rigid. It means you can say here in case of the connective tissue proper, a very soft, matrix is the soft. In case of the supportive connective tissue, matrix is the solid in case of the bone. In case of the bones, they have the solid. In case of the cartilage, it have the semi-solid. And fluid connective tissue, so they have no matrix. At the place of matrix is modified into the plasma. It is modified into the plasma. So this is the three different types of the connective tissue found, and we will discuss about the details of the types of the proper connective tissue. So proper connective tissue, there is also two different types. One is the loose connective tissue and another is the dense connective tissue. So first is the loose connective tissue and another is the dense connective tissue. Loose means they are not properly packed, they are irregularly packed. Clear? So they are irregularly packed. So due to this, considered as a loose connective tissue. And dense connective tissue, they are the properly aligned. They are the properly aligned and they form a compact structure which is known as the dense connective tissue. Okay. Loose connective tissue, they have the two different types. One is the areolar, another is the adipose tissue. One is the areolar, another is the adipose tissue. And adipose tissue, you know, this is adipose tissue. They are made up of the fat cell, adipose cell, adipocytes, fat cell, that is the adipocytes. And you know, they have the, this is the fat cell involves in the storage of fat. Fat cells involved in the storage of fat. Okay. And you know, in our body we have stored two different types of the fat. Okay. One is the white fat, another is the brown fat. So white fat found in our body and brown fat found inside the infants as well as infants as well as embryo. Inside the embryo, child has the brown fat. Brown fat provides the more energy. Brown fat provides the more energy. Next is the dense connective tissue. Dense connective tissue. Here are the two different types. One is the tendon, another is the ligament. Tendon, you know, tendon generally attaches bone to muscles. Bones to muscles, they are attached with the tendons. And ligament, for the ligament I have given one short trick by which you can understand. BLB, bulb. Bulb, you know, bulb, they are have the filament. Bulb have the filament and that filament attached, that filament here, B stands for bone, B stands for bone, L stands for ligament. So bulb, filament, here bone to bone ligament. Bulb, filament, bone to bone attachment, ligament. So by this trick you can easily understand. Okay. Next is the rigid. Rigid, that is the where matrix found in the rigid or semi-solid, maybe rigid or semi-solid. So here in case of the bone, matrix is the rigid and bone have the some space which is known as the lacuna. So it is found in the cartilage. They have the some space inside the bone which is known as the lacuna. Okay. And this bone, it is considered as a supportive connective tissue or skeletal connective tissue. Why I am saying skeletal connective tissue? Because it generally attached with the skeleton, our endoskeleton system. Okay. So next, third, that is the fluid connective tissue. So fluid connective tissue, that means blood and lymph. These are considered as a fluid connective tissue. So these are considered as a fluid connective tissue. Why? Because here you can see that is the blood, it is the fluid in nature. And I had already told why it is found in the fluid in nature, because these cells never secrete collagen or elastin fiber. Okay, so it never secretes collagen and elastin fiber. Due to this, it is present in the fluid form. Okay. And this blood we will also discuss detail in the circulatory system chapter in human physiology. NCERT human physiology unit we will discuss about the detail. But you should to know blood is a fluid connective tissue and lymph, this is also behaves as a fluid connective tissue. So now your class is going to finish and I hope so you are understanding. And if you have any doubt, so you can ask, and in the comment section you also subscribe, like and share. And I'm going to finish. So thank you for your patience and cooperation.